Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Take 5. Let's jump right in. So this week we've been recapping the message that I preached Sunday entitled New Year, No Manna, and we read the verses Joshua chapter 5, verses 10 through 12. So far we have learned that the second generation of Israelites that have made it to the borders of Canaan have done a couple of things differently to ensure they take possession of this purpose, of this promised land. They've done a few things differently than their ancestors, than that first generation did. We learned the last couple of days that the first thing they did differently was they remembered. They remembered all that God had done for them throughout the years of history in their nation, and they made sure to not forget how good God had been to them, how great He was for them. And today we're going to talk about the second thing they did, and I think it's one of the simplest things we can learn, but maybe one of the most important things we can learn from this story. And that thing is they took responsibility. So our text said that while the Israelites were camped at Gilgal on the plains of Jericho, they celebrated Passover on the evening of the 14th day of the first month. The very next day, they began to eat unleavened bread and roasted grain harvested from the land. No manna appeared on the day they first ate from the crops of the land, and it was never seen again. So from that time on, the Israelites ate from the crops of Canaan. Now during the wilderness, during their 40 years, that time in the wilderness, God has literally fed them and clothed them, the entire nation. He gave them water to drink out of a rock. I mean, they didn't even have to dig a well for this water. He gave them food to eat that literally fell from the sky, was just laying on the ground, ready for them to scoop up when they woke up in the morning. That's all they had to do was just go up and scoop it up. Go out and scoop it up. God even preserved their clothing and their shoes for them so that they wouldn't go without while in the desert. Deuteronomy chapter 29 tells us that for 40 years, God made it where their clothes and their sandals didn't even wear out. So other than having to live in tents in the desert, these people had it made. God literally provided everything that they needed to survive. Now, all of us understand that if it weren't for God, we wouldn't be blessed with the food that we eat and the clothes that we wear and the other necessities of life that we enjoy. I think we can all agree with that. But can you imagine for just a moment literally being fed from the hand of God? I mean, literally, every single morning, food being rained down from heaven by God Himself, prepared for you to just go out and scoop up. I mean, how amazing must that have been for them? Nonetheless, that's not the way God intended for them or anybody to live their lives. From the beginning of time, all the way back to the creation story, when God created Adam and Eve, He expected us to be self-sufficient in many ways. In fact, when He created us, the Bible says that He gave us dominion and authority over the entire earth and everything that lives in it for our survival and our abundance of life. It also says that God created the Garden of Eden and when He placed Adam and Eve in it, He created the Garden of Eden for them to tend and watch over it. So from the beginning of time, it has always been God's desire for us to take a personal responsibility in our purpose on earth. And it was no different for the Israelites. God told them on several different occasions that the reason He was giving them the land of Canaan was so that they could thrive in life on the earth and be a witness to how awesome and how powerful He was as a God. He wanted their lives to be a testimony to Him as a God. He wanted all of the other nations to see through the lives of the Israelites and through the wisdom that they lived with just how great and powerful He really was. He expected them to tend and watch over the land that He was giving them. But it was really about more than the land, right? The land wasn't just a coincidental gift to them. This land that He was giving them, the land of Canaan, the promised land, was going to be the way that God showed the rest of the world who He really was. That He really was the God and the creator of the universe. This promised land, the land of Canaan, was Israel's God-given purpose as a nation, or their calling, so to speak. And God expected them to tend and watch over the purpose that He had given them. The purpose to be a testimony to the entire world. So what I want you to understand today is that you and I also have a purpose. We have a promised land, so to speak. A calling, a mission, a purpose, a God-given purpose. And God expects you and me, just like He expected Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, just like He expected the Israelites here as they began to take possession of their promised land. God expects you and I to tend and watch over our purpose. He expects us to cultivate it. He expects us to put forth the effort it takes to make sure that we can handle that purpose. He expects us to tend and watch over that thing. So whatever you feel your purpose in life is, whatever your calling is, whatever your mission is, and for some of us, that might change seasonally as we age and as we change, as circumstances change in our life. Sometimes God's mission, sometimes God's purpose for our life might change. Whatever that purpose is in life, God expects you to tend and watch over it, to cultivate it. And I want you to remember, I'm not calling you into the mission field. I'm not calling you to pastor or to teach a class or anything like that. God's kingdom is so much greater than just those offices or those things. God's kingdom is a vast empire with many different responsibilities and occupations and things that need to be done. And every single one of us has a mission. Every single one of us has a purpose. And God expects us to tend and cultivate that purpose. And whether we're walking in that purpose right now, or whether we're striving to get there. Maybe we're wandering in the wilderness right now, trying to get to our promised land. Wherever we might find ourselves, God expects us to tend and cultivate that thing, to get ready, to prepare ourselves, to take responsibility in this thing, and tend and watch over our purpose. Hey, have a great day today. I love you. I'll see you tomorrow right here at Take 5.